Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't been doing anything on YouTube much because mainly I've been dealing with some personal matters. And one of those personal matters I want to include you guys on because I really would like your feedback and I really would like your point of view. And I'm going to share this thread publicly and also on my friends list, because my friends alone on my Facebook friends list, they don't like it at all. They don't like, oh, you'll find out. Alright, so a lot of you all know that I went to Patient First, which is what they call a doc in a box. You don't have to, you can just walk in and wait. It's like first come, first serve kind of thing. It's like fast food equivalency for medical stuff, like to get a doctor's note. I still think it's a bunch of bull that, jobs don't trust you enough to know that when you're sick and you can take care of yourself. You have to have a doctor to deem that you are sick. Yeah. But anyways, I digress. So I got sick. My asthma triggered it. It's cold, it's wet, it's rainy, season's changing. My throat and my sinuses in the back of my throat are getting infected. So what in the world? I had to do something about it. I called out on Saturday, and I was off Sunday. I couldn't go to the concert that I wanted to go on Sunday, so I stayed, and I gave my ticket away. Some of y'all on Facebook know that I did that. So long story short, I wasn't really given a choice. I was told, you need a doctor's note the day of, and we need it in hand the day of you calling out. Sorry. I still got a little cough. So, I go. Didn't want to go. But let me tell you why I really hate. And I know I hate hating things. I detest, loathe Patient First because I do have a doctor who listens to me, who knows what I'm allergic to, and knows that I know enough about my body and about the medicine that is out there that I've tried, and actually listens to my concerns for legitimate reasons. My doctor's into preventative care. I am too. I don't believe in taking a pill because of a little something. I believe in adapting and getting over it. And your body can do that. Many years ago, I went to, let's say 7 years ago, I went to a Patient First because I needed a prescription for my Buterol inhaler because I had asthma and I ran out, and I didn't have enough money to go to my regular doctor, and plus this was before I found my doctor that I work really well with. I went to them and showed them the empty a Buterol inhaler. I said, I have asthma. It's not a permanent thing. It happens around seasons like this. And it happened to be around springtime where everything was blooming. And they're like, are you sure you have asthma? Yeah, I grew up with it. It happens whenever it's the change of a season. Sometimes I'm lucky and it doesn't happen. It depends on how much my body can cope at that point. And they're like, are you sure? Do you smoke? I said, no, I don't smoke. They're like, well, I think you have COPD and emphysema. And I'm like, what? If I have emphysema, I'd be struggling every day. I would always have breathing problems every single day. But I didn't. I don't. And they called me a liar and said that you smoke cigarettes. It's obvious. And I'm like, I don't, because I have asthma. Only an idiot would smoke cigarettes and have asthma. I don't mean to call people idiots, but your choice is your choice. You smoke cigarettes and you have asthma and you're dealing fine with it and you think you're okay, go, whatever. Whatever, you know? But, so I didn't get it. They tried to prescribe me, I don't know how many lists of medications and tried to get me to go to Southside for treatment. I'm like, I'm here to save money. I just want my albuterol inhaler. God dang it. And a doctor's note for my job. And this woman, she made it sound like I had black lung or something. I'm like, I would be dead if I had these problems. No, honey, I have asthma. I know the difference. If you wheeze on an exhale, it's bronchitis. If you wheeze on an inhale, it's asthma. And emphysema, I know I don't have that. Or COPD. So, I waited. I had some help paying for my real doctor visit and got an inhaler, and everything was fine. Everything was great. Everything was wonderful. Got my inhaler. Sure, it costs a lot more going to my regular doctor at the time. But, I mean, come on. If someone grew up with a certain thing, chances are they know what they're talking about. So, let's fast forward a little bit. Let's say 4 years ago, I go to Patient First because, again, I fell short on some money and I needed to go to a doctor and I needed a doctor's note and I needed something for a stomach virus. I know the symptoms of a stomach virus. I know the symptoms. I know my body. I have not been wrong yet on my own body. I am very much self-aware. I know where the problem is. I know what it is, whether it's I used to be very curious about the human body when I was a young kid, and I studied it all, like, constantly. And I still do study things about it. Read on things. You know, take very close attention. I pay very close attention to my body to know whether something is a bacterial infection or a viral infection. I know. I knew I had a stomach virus. I knew it. Symptoms were black and white for me. So I go to Patient First 4 years ago, and this guy, doctor dude, asked me about my period, about my sexual activity, and I'm like, what has this got to do with the stomach virus? Well, you said you've been throwing up for 3 days. Yeah. Also, there's this symptom, this symptom. I listed all the symptoms to him. I said, I have a stomach virus. He goes, well, I'm the doctor here, and I really do think you're pregnant, so we should do a pregnancy test. I'm like, I said, first off, let me go ahead and answer the other questions. Number one, I'm starting my period soon, and the last time I had sex was 2 months ago. So, and I had my periods for all those times. Well, you can have a heavy period and be pregnant at the same time. I'm like, that's 1 in a million chances. Because the amount of blood that I would bleed, it would be considered a miscarriage. A 5-day-long miscarriage. His facts was not adding up. So, I told him, I said, if the pregnancy test proves negative, will you please give me an antiviral medicine for my stomach so I am able to eat and go back to work, and give me a doctor note. He said, yeah, if we prove it's, you're not pregnant, then yeah. And I'm like, I don't think my vagina is any of your business, buddy. And these are different patient firsts I've gone to. I've gone to one that's in one area, one in another, and my recent visit is one that's not far from where I live. And now I've given these people chances to get something right. Something right. And I always have to, go to my normal doctor and basically put my head together with her and be like, am I okay from what they've done to me? Pregnancy test was false. So I ended up getting an antiviral. Well, at least the antiviral worked. He tried to give me a prescription for Imodium, and I'm like, I don't need a prescription for that. I can just get it over the counter, cheaper than what you're trying to give me. So, a few days ago, 4 days ago, to be exact, 3 days ago, I was not given a choice to go. I went. That was completely terrible. Oh, before I go any further on my experience, I'm going to tell you another reason why I do not like them. I had an uncle, had is the main word, had an uncle. He's not with us anymore because of this. He had a lump back here. Right back here. He had a lump. And he had a smaller lump over here. But a big one right here. He complained of not being able to swallow, hardly able to talk. Being tired all the time. He couldn't even swallow water, or even spit, food. And he was basically got to the point where he was on a liquid diet. He went to the doctors because he felt very terrible and very sick. He went to patient first because he didn't have the time because of his job. And he didn't want to miss any time because he was so hard up on money. Long story short, they diagnosed him, and he went to them twice. Saw the same doctor, that patient first. Went to the same patient first. And first diagnosis, they said he had German measles. He didn't have all the symptoms of German measles. I felt that was kind of weird, but hey, at the time, doctors know what they're talking about. I like to hope. So after they gave him a treatment for that, he went back after the treatment was supposed to do something. He felt worse. He started getting pale. He barely ate anything. He would just drink water. Try to drink water. And he was getting really thin and underweight. And all they wanted to talk to him about was his underweight. He's like, you need to eat more. He said, I can't swallow food. And they diagnosed him with mumps. Okay. So they got him treatment for that. It got to the point where he couldn't go to work anymore. And this was like God, I want to say 9 years ago this happened. So he went to a actual doctor when he went to patient first with the same doctor, and he said, well, maybe you need to go to someone in the hospital that can really figure out what's going on, because evidently these treatments aren't working, and I don't know, they basically said they don't know what to do. So he went to a hospital, they tested him, and he had lymph node cancer. I am sure as hell that there is something in a doctor's office that can test someone for cancer. He didn't have the symptoms for German measles. He didn't have the symptoms for mumps. He slowly died. But, oh, no one's talking about that. No one bothered to even bring it to anyone's attention about that. And a lot of you all are thinking, why did you even dare go if you know that's, you know, if you know this? Well, I figured conveniency was, you know, I figured being, you know, convenience, and my job wanted a doctor's note so damn bad that I was obligated to go. Obligated. I didn't have a choice. I didn't want to go. And I usually get sick on a weekend, which is when my doctor's office is never open. I can't help that. But needless to say, I have a doctor. I work with her, and it's the best doctor-patient relationship I could ever ask for, ever ask for, because every time I ever went, none of them doctors would listen to me and I had to argue with the doctor recently. When I went to the patient first, I argued because he was going to give me a medicine that was a sulfur-based medication. And I said, I'm allergic to that. And he said, are you sure? No, dude, I just don't remember having a week of hives and bumps all over my body and a swollen tongue. You know, I'm stupid, you know. I don't know what an allergic reaction is. And there are alternatives to prednisone. Prednisone, I'm hypersensitive to steroids. But this dude had it in his mind to give me prednisone, so I said, give me the lowest dosage then, if you can't seem to find the alternative. Because I know there's an alternative, and my personal doctor knows of those alternatives. But this doctor magically didn't know. The worst thing you can do to a patient is not listen to them. And feel so bullheaded that you think this patient needs to do this, needs to do that. I'm not your frickin' child. We are not your kids. We come to you to help us. We come to you because we trust you not to kill us. And also not to make us reoccurring patients. A doctor's goal is supposed to be to take care of people so you don't see them as often. Really? I know there's more money into feeding people pills. I know there's money in having people come back. That's not medicine. That's drug dealing. When you get people hooked and you give them just enough to get them feeling a little better, and then they relapse, that's not being a doctor. That's scamming. And also, they want to fat shame people. A lot of you know that I used to bodybuild, and I'm just now changing that lifestyle into more, trying to do more cardio. I'm trying to slim down. I'm trying to tone my muscle mass down. So yeah, okay, I'm a little fluffy now, but I'm not morbidly obese. I can run from this end of the parking lot all the way to the other end and not stop. But I have this awful thing called asthma that keeps me from breathing good. But I'm still quite healthy. when you go to a doctor's office, you don't expect to have them offhandedly say how fat you are. And their excuse, and I've been conversing with Patient First when it comes to this BMI thing, body mass index, and I'm gonna tell you something. BMI is the most inaccurate way of measuring someone's fat, because BMI does not take consideration of before and after meals, before and after bathroom breaks, water retention. It doesn't take consideration of your bone density or your organs. It doesn't take consideration of before, during, and after menstruation. So if you're a woman, oh well. And it doesn't take consideration of your muscle mass either. According to Patient First, I should weigh 115. Last time I was 115, I was 5'3", and I was 12. Oh, and I was anorexic at the time. My doctor, my professional doctor, said I was anorexic because you can see my collarbones, my eyes are sunken in. I look like a little skeleton. Oh, but I'm supposed to be 115 at age 31. Never mind the fact that I just got big titties and a big booty, you know, and maybe some cellulite. I mean, come on. You can't cookie cutter people like that. And things like that should be asked. Hey, would you like your BMI count? You could benefit from learning. And if someone says, yeah, sure, go ahead, print it out. If someone says, no, I'm not interested, leave it alone. I don't have the paper with me, but it's like 4 or 5 different papers telling me how fat I am and what I should do about it. Most of this fat is actually muscle. And their excuse is the federal government of heart and disease, health disease, whatever. And I'm just like, okay, you are not bound by law to be throwing people's BMIs in their faces. Last person that called me fat and was actually blunt about it, now, Patient First has got class. They use technicalities and government bull crap and hide behind it. You know, like, okay, so if the government says it's okay for you to call people fat using the word BMI, which is the most inaccurate form of measuring that, someone's body, and determining their weight, so it's okay? So it's okay? Okay, so maybe I should just point out to morbidly obese people that they're fat, which you probably already know, and tell them to diet and exercise. Yeah, I should go around doing that. I'm like, hey, did you know the federal health and disease government thing says I can run around and tell you that? Yeah. You're going to see me get a black eye real quick. Or my face mauled off. If I go to a woman and tell her she's fat, I'm going to be told F you and probably get slapped across the face. I didn't go there for that. I went there for a doctor's note and antibiotic, and I got pushed on to some steroids. Now, I need the alternative to steroids. There are alternatives to steroids. Did you know prednisone eats away at the at your spinal tissue? Yeah, it does. My mom and dad are the candidates. So yeah. Also, it messes with women's hormones. So if you're on it for too long, you'll be going through menopause quite early. Hence the reason why I don't like this crap. It makes me feel angry. It makes me feel anxious. I want to know if you people are okay with somebody when you go to a doctor's office and you know, you go there for one thing and they want to tell you about something else, like your weight. They want to go and tell you how fat you are, what you should do. Do you enjoy going to a doctor's office and argue about what is wrong with you? Or do you want them to just tell you blindly what's wrong with you and be done with it? I mean, what do you guys feel? Should this be tolerated? Doctors not listening to their patients? Doctors not caring whether or not you're allergic to a medicine? Doctors not listening to, oh, we've tried this medicine before. It made me more sick. It didn't help me. I mean, do you really... I mean, this is not ethical and morally just and right. This isn't right. You know, all my life I've gone and seen doctors for many different reasons, and the best patient-doctor relationship is when the patient talks to the doctor openly and unbiasedly, and the doctor listens, and you both put your heads together on what will work for you, what you're comfortable with, what really does work, what has a history of working and what has a history of not working. That is an ideal patient-doctor relationship. I don't agree with these doctors that are in these doc-in-the-box programs and are governmentally run. Now, if you're interested, I do have the conversation between me and this McKay or McCoy, whoever the heck this was, on the Patient First page on Facebook. And basically, they were parroting back government little footnotes. And when I told them that what they're saying to me is public, they said, have a good day. They won't say any more. I was asking for their honest opinion if they thought it was right for someone to be called fat in a very fancy term using the word BMI, which is the most inaccurate form of determining someone's health and weight. It's not. Now, I may seem angry. I'm just insulted, and I don't take being called fat by somebody who does not know me sitting down. And knowing that they do this to other people pisses me off even more, because there's a lot more people out there that are not as strong and tolerant as I am that are being called that, and it's ruining and wrecking their oh, what's the word? I'm so mad. Self-confidence. Day in and day out, people deal with a lot of crap, and they don't need to be going to a doctor's office, which is the most sacred of all places, where you're vulnerable and it's personal, and then they open and they stab you with, oh, guess what? Your BMI is too high, your BMI is too low, you're fat, you're skinny, you're this, you're not, you need to do this, you need to do that. People don't need this. This ruins people. This hurts people. Sorry. Oh my God. We did not need this. Yeah. So, it shouldn't. People don't need this. And I really personally don't know what to do to stand up for everybody. But I'm throwing this out there. I'm throwing this out there. Oh, and also the doctor's notes were inaccurate. I didn't complain about a cough. I complained about losing my voice. And about infection coming out. Yeah. He says I complained about a cough. And all he wanted to talk about was my BMI. And he didn't even know how to listen to my lungs properly. When you listen to someone's lungs, you put the stethoscope on this side of the back, near the back of the ribs, over here, and the same way on the other side. Not in the middle of the spine. The lungs are not located there. Just saying. I've taken first aid. And I know how to use a stethoscope. I'm not stupid. Bottom line is, this practice should not be tolerated. This and the stuff they printed out was fear-mongering. Basically made it sound like because of your BMI is this, that, and the other, you're going to die and get heart disease and die and diabetes and die. You're just going to freaking die any second now. It's like, oh, and also they want to say that I have pre-hypertension. No, I don't. It's because I really didn't want to be there. So I was highly agitated. I mean, yeah. When you're under duress, I kind of think your heart rate does kind of elevate a little bit. If you're agitated. So, look, I want to know what you guys think. Alright? Because this shouldn't be tolerated. We, the people, don't deserve to be ridiculed over something as inaccurate and dumb as BMI. BMI doesn't consider the fact that you've eaten or before and after you eat. It doesn't take consideration of your muscles or your bone structure and density. It doesn't take consideration of your menstruation cycle before, during, and after. It doesn't take consideration of anything, but it's a cookie cutter way of saying, hey, this number's too high. Hey, this number's too low. You need to do this. You need to do that. We don't need that crap right now. And if they do it to teenagers, they definitely don't need that shit. This needs to be stopped. This should not be tolerated. Now, I don't know who to go to about this, but this needs to be addressed. These people have been messing with everyone for far too long. They're basically people that have been probably bullied all their life, and they take it out on anyone that seems like a certain stereotype, or they don't like something about you, or they don't like the look of you. Oh, this person's fat, so I don't like fat people, so, yeah, we're gonna peck on them a little bit. This shouldn't be tolerated, so, yeah, it's out there.